Hey everyone, if you like combat sports such as MMA, Kyokushin, Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing, make sure to hit the like, share, subscribe button to the Drewsperience show that's 100% combat sports and anything else that has to do with fighting and pop culture. And with that, here we go. Okay, first post breakdown show of the last UFC that happened yesterday, UFC 283. UFC's first return to Brazil since March 14th, 2020. Very, I would say, successful card, although I gotta confess, I didn't really watch it because I had a friend's birthday, but I stayed up with the highlights and was able to watch the clips. Sometimes you can't watch them, but hey, listen, I make the effort either way as possible. So let's get down to the card itself. Very, very good card in terms of the amount of knockouts that happened or submissions, and some upsets too, such as Terrence McKinney, who was taking on Ismael Bonim in his debut. He got KO'd with a flying knee in round two. So Terrence McKinney fucked around, as we say, and he found out. And great work on Ismael. His brother is also another prospect that's in the UFC. This is amazing. So you love to see it when there's a brother duo in the MMA. It makes the sport more entertaining to see the differences between siblings. The other matchups too that were very interesting to me was one of them was the I would have to say it was the upset of Gregory Rodriguez getting defeated by Bruno Ferreira. We all know Gregory Rodriguez, aka Robocop, is famous for that famous cut he showed on social media after his last fight. And man, Bruno came in, KO punch one round and knocked out Robocop. Rodriguez will be back stronger. He's one of the brighter prospects, I would say, in the constantly shifting middleweight division since Alex Poatan Pereira became champion. And we also saw the farewell of a legend in Mauricio Shogun Hua, the last active fighter who fought for Pride before it got purchased by the UFC. Now, there is also Nick Diaz and also Robbie Lawler who fought for Pride, but that was on American soil. Shogun fought in Japan, and he's the last active one that did that. Everyone else is retired, such as Rampage Jackson. There's others. Like, I mean, I can't think of all the names. I just remember Shogun and Rampage and Overeem too. Yeah, Alistair Overeem as well. There's one there. So I contradict myself there a bit. But it was he fought another up and comer in Ihor Potera, and I hope I said that right. And what should have been, a nice farewell win because Shogun always goes out on his shield. Ihor just KO'd him in round one, and I really hate it to see it when these legends who've given so much to the sport get KO'd in one round, and it's so vicious. But that is the mileage that Shogun has had on him. The injuries, the constant trying to get back to the title after losing it to John Jones in 2011. And Shogun's a legend. That his name is always going to live in the history books of MMA for what he has helped build the sport. Pride 2005 Grand Prix winner. Just an absolute beast. Look up some Shogun highlights on YouTube if you ever want to understand the excitement that Shogun brought in every single fight. KO'd Chuck Liddell in Montreal in 2009 when the UFC was starting to bring its cards into Canada after the success of GSP Sarah 2 the year before. And we moved to the main card, I'd have to say. So the main card had some very good matchups. We had Johnny Walker versus Paul Craig, the Bear Jew Craig. And, Johnny Walker has been a prospect that, is he legit? Is he not? He's had so much talent, but, he's had some setbacks, as all fighters can experience. And Paul Craig is one of the most dangerous submission artists. Striking is there, but he's more of a submission guy that looks for the subs. And Johnny Walker just came out guns blazing, ready to take on Paul, and KO'd him in round one. It was a great knockout, and it's nice to see Johnny Walker finally get some consistency in here. Hopefully this will get him into more of the top 10, the top 5 perhaps. He's right now ranked number 12, unless the rankings update themselves automatically. We then move to women's flyweight, which would be Jessica Andrade versus Lauren Murphy. It was a decision, but Andrade put a beat down on Lauren. And the women's flyweight, it's the Valentina Shevchenko division, but it's, as much as we want to say, it's still trying to find its identity in terms of other contenders other than Talia Santos. You still have Andrade there, but Andrade is just, I think she's a gatekeeper, as a Caitlin Chikugian is. The real threats in women's flyweight are Talia Santos and Manon Fiorot. That's how I see it. So great work to Jessica Andrade, and Lauren Murphy is an absolute warrior, but man, she just takes a beating. She takes a beating, and then she can get some wins too, but she just takes a beating, and she's durable, man. But that durability, how long can it last for? So hopefully Lauren can bounce back. And the next matchup we moved to was Gilbert Dorino Burns versus Neil Magny. Very interesting matchup. Neil Magny has the most wins in welterweight history, even beat GSP's record for most wins at welterweight. Very likable guy, has done service in the military, and so that's very commendable. And Gilbert is game. He had that war with Hamzat Chimaev, gave some trouble to Kamaru in his title fight with Kamaru. And Gilbert's done a very good job to stay at the top of the welterweight division since he made that transition from lightweight. It just seems that, the weight cuts don't work for some fighters. And when they find that weight class that works, they just find their rhythm. Gilbert is one of those guys. Durability is insane, and just easily handled Neil Magny with a submission with an arm triangle choke just before, with 1 minute left in the first round. And I got to say, Gilbert is a man on a mission. He wants to get that title shot back. He wants those pay-per-view points. He wants that title. And he is one of Henry Hoof's. Now it's Kill Cliff. It went from Hard Knock. It went from Black Zillions to Hard Knocks to Sanford, and now to Kill Cliff. And, credit to Henry Hooft and his team of Greg Jackson and others that could keep churning out these monsters with Gilbert, Shavkat Rakhmonov, the Nomad Rakhmonov, who I think is the dark horse of 170. And it's only a matter of time before everyone starts getting on that bandwagon. Credit where it's due. Gilbert, congratulations. I hope you get that Hamzat rematch if it happens. Or now Gilbert's calling out Colby Covington. There's some beef there. So Gilbert wants that. He wanted the Jorge Masvidal match, but I would love to see him versus Colby Covington. But then again, is Colby ever going to come back? On the Bilal Muhammad episode of Joe Rogan Experience, there was with the lawsuit that's happening constantly with Colby and Jorge, could Colby ever fight again? Because Colby could say, "Yeah, I got brain damage." That's just a theory, but will we see Colby Covington again? Because he's been very quiet, and the more quiet he is when he's not using his shtick, he's becoming a bit more irrelevant over time. So what's Colby's plans? We don't know, but hey, Gilbert Burns, you have a fan in me. I love the style. I love the character you have, and keep up the great work, buddy. You are as game as they come. The co-main event was the first quadrilogy. That's what we're moving on to now. It was the first quadrilogy between Brandon Moreno, who's the interim champ, and Davison Figueiredo. These two probably have the best rivalry skill-wise. I wouldn't say trash talk-wise because, Brendan is so likable, and Davison tries to play this role of like a god of war, an evil guy, but it's all pro wrestling healing. It's all pro wrestle heel if you look at it. So Brendan looked very good. He was dominating those 3 rounds. And then there was a TKO by doctor stoppage with a cut under the eye. Doctor felt, hey, look, this is not worth it. So this fight was stopped. Unfortunate, but hey, Brendan was dominating. He came in with a better plan, fought very calm, did not fight emotional as he did in the last time, which Davison won by decision. So this is a great way to close that chapter on the rivalry with Moreno and Figueiredo. Brendan can move on to fight some other contenders such as Askar Askarov, perhaps maybe Alejandro Pantoja, who has constantly called out a rematch with Moreno since they fought back on Tough in 2018. And Davison's going to go up to bantamweight now, it looks. That's what it's been confirmed. I got to say, the weight cut was hard for him. But to see Davison at 135 is going to be interesting with that power he has. For such a little guy, that guy has middleweight power, they say. So I'm excited. Bantamweight gets another contender in their already overstacked 135 division. And Moreno can now finally move on, get some fresh blood in there. He and Davison have helped with Cejudo, I would say, bring relevancy back to the flyweight division. It still kind of struggles men's flyweight because let's be honest. I mean, I'm a guy that likes more welterweight to heavyweight, and but Moreno's so likable, so it helps me follow the division if he's fighting. So Brendan Moreno, congratulations on reclaiming and unifying the men's flyweight title. You're an absolute gem, and when you win, the world is better. Then we move on to the main event. Ooh, this was a good one. So the show last week, I said I had Jamal Hill taking it from Glover, and some would said that's a very bold pick, but hey, I make bold predictions. That's just me, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's what I love about this sport. You're never too sure. But on the co-main event, I was sure, although the way it ended, I was wrong. But Moreno still won. So for the light heavyweight title, then again vacant light heavyweight title since Ankalaev and Blachowicz was a infamous draw. You have Jamal Hill, who was at the time the number 7 ranked light heavyweight contender, and you have Glover, the ageless wonder Teixeira, who was the former champ before losing it to Yuri in the fight of the year. Didn't want to fight Ankalaev on short notice because he wanted to prepare more. So in the end, the UFC gave Glover a chance to win it in his home country of Brazil. What a great treat that the UFC did to give the Brazilian fans an absolute legend who's been through the ringer, who's persevered, has come back, won the title finally. And you got Jamal Hill, who has some great knockouts, probably one of the best Instagram pages in terms of comedy content with the training and just, being a father. But the fight what ended up being a decision, and it was tough to watch because Jamal came in so focused, and those kicks that he used were money in the end. Glover did not have an answer, could not take down Jamal, and in the end, there was a cut on Glover, there was a cut on Jamal, but Glover kept fighting. And just me, I think they should have ended the fight after the 4th round because Glover just did not have it anymore. You could tell this was a Glover that spent every ounce of energy in that Yuri fight. And Father Time is always undefeated. It always catches up with us, no matter how hard we try to beat it. And at the end of the day, Glover decided to hang him up. And I have to say, hats off to a legend. Glover, you've done it all. You won the title. You came in as an undefeated prospect until you faced John Jones. You went back to the drawing board, had some wins, had some losses. People thought he was done, and then he finally persevered. And you have to respect this guy. I believe Glover has a spot in the UFC Hall of Fame for what he's done. He was an exemplary, a champion, such a likable guy, so nice, helps bring into the now current middleweight champion, Alex Pereira. And his story is out on YouTube. It was a great documentary done by Patrick Gavia. If you love MMA stories and documentaries, check out Patrick Gavia. That guy makes, you think that guy puts out the best documentaries, and you think to yourself, okay, he can't make a better one. And he always surprises us with amazing documentaries. So, sad to see a legend lose like this. Same with Shogun for what they've done for the sport. But listen, they went out in their home country. I got to respect that. And Glover did go out on his shield. He went out on his shield like the warrior he is. And now he gets to spend time with his family, gets to help develop Pereira more, train people in Danbury, Connecticut. As for Jamal Hill, the first Dana White Contender Series champion. There was doubts about the prospects that came out of Dana White's Contender Series, if they're really as good as finding talent. But Jamal Hill, man, came out of the small gym that's unknown in Chicago. Now he's in Grand Rapids. People thought he had no grappling, but Jamal showed a lot of intelligence tonight. Now the real test comes. Now you got Yuri Prohaska calling for the match when he's ready to come back. Well, Ankalaev call out for a matchup versus Jamal Hill. This is it's nice to celebrate now, Jamal, but just know they're coming for you. All the killers at 205 are now game. They are ready to take you on. So I think Jamal Hill can be a successful champion. Some are looking at him saying, oh, this guy only has striking. But look, I watched the highlights. He looked very good. So if he can continue to improve on the areas that are seen as weak, so to say, I think Jamal can have a few title defenses. It's entirely possible. Really happy for him. Father of six, came from the bottom, struggled, trying to become an NBA player, but then what turned to fighting and built himself up slowly. Great Instagram follow if you ever want to look for some laughs. I die of laughter at some of the reels he puts out, and just I'm so happy because this helps give the Dana White Contender Series prospects hope that hey, I can become a champion too if Jamal Hill could do it. And Jamal Hill is very respectful. Loved how he went to hug Glover. That's what the sport's about. When you put the trash talking aside, you're sharing the cage with someone and you're sharing the blood with them in war. And I just love it. And I gotta say, UFC 283, the return to Rio de Janeiro. I loved it. It was a success. So what do I think is going to happen next? So obviously light heavyweight has a new champion finally. So could it change some hands again like before John Jones came in, or we have some stability finally? Flyweight, what's going to happen there? There's a lot of questions. So my predictions are Jamal Hill will fight Yuri Prohaska when Prohaska comes back because they're both wild strikers, and we all know the UFC loves great stand-up fights. Flyweight, I see Brendan Moreno fighting Pantoja, and it's going to be interesting to see what kind of improvements Brendan has made IQ-wise and toolkit-wise in order to rematch a former foe. And this is great. This is a great start to the year. Now we have UFC 284, which is going to be the Makachev versus Volkanovski fight in Perth, Australia. Great upcoming card. Although I gotta admit these cards, they end late and it's hard to keep up with all of them. So I know I need to do more, but look, thank God for the internet. Thank God for, social media to look at the highlights when they post them. And that's sometimes what I'm going to do. But hey, great start to the year for MMA. It's great to have combat sports back. And as said, if you love combat sports, make sure to hit the like, share, subscribe to the Drewsperience show. We're going to have more breakdown shows and more Instagram lives with past guests and maybe some new ones to help grow the show. So if you're looking to subscribe, Drewsperience is on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Instagram. Look it up. We're only growing. And here on out, have a good one, guys.